Hi folks, this is Karim Rauf from IT Visualizer channel. This is my 10th video. We will begin making a new virtual machine and configuring it as a workstation to join the domain. Okay, to begin applying our Active Directory Right Management service in previous labs, the templates that we have added and tested, and the DAC rule, the Dynamic Access Control rules, to apply it and see how this will be in effect with a workstation joining the domain. Okay, so first we need to, before joining the domain, we have to make a master image, as I like to say. We'll make a new virtual machine, install Windows 10, and then begin installing the basic or necessary applications, and then making some tweaks, okay, in the Windows. And then after that, after making all of this, we will make this as the profile, the default profile. We'll make a profile with all of the necessary changes and make this as the default Windows profile for any user when he logs into the domain or log into the workstation. He will find all of the necessary tweaks in his profile. We will see that in a moment. We are working with a tool called diffprof. This is a utility that makes the default Windows 10 profile. We'll see that in a moment. Okay, so let's begin. We also, as I said, we will make all of the necessary changes. Okay, and then after that we will clone it, okay, with VM Workstation Pro to have a replica. Okay, so we have two workstations with the same configuration. First of all, I'm just powering on the two domain controllers. I'm powering the first one and then the second one. Sorry, let's continue our lab. Here we are. As I said before, I'm making power on for the two virtual machines, the two domain controllers. I'll just pause the video until they boot up. I'll just log into the domain controller. First, what I will do before going on creating the workstation or the virtual machine that will be the workstation, I just in the previous lab we have did already a second DHCP. We have two DHCP as a failover, so I forgot a small detail. I need to put the second domain controller, okay. After creating the DHCP and the failover and creating the second domain controller, I need to put the secondary DNS and secondary WINs in the DHCP scope setting. So when a client tries to get an IP address, he will give him both DNS for the first domain controller and second domain controller, and the first domain controller as a WINs and the second domain controller as a WINs. We'll see that in a moment. Because this is important, because if the first domain controller or the first domain controller, the first domain controller that contains the first DNS and the first WINs is down, the DHCP needs to give the workstation or the clients the secondary domain controller DNS and secondary WINs server, so they can communicate with it if the first DNS and first WINs server are down. So this needs to be done through the DHCP setting, through the scope setting, to be delivered to the clients. So here we'll open the DHCP. As I said before, the second domain controller is acting as secondary DNS and secondary WINs. Okay, here is a problem that the DHCP is not working. This happens sometimes, okay, after rebooting or powering on the virtual machine. I just restart the service, the DHCP service. Sometimes also the WINs service is not working, so I need to restart the WINs service manually. but here we'll just restart the DHCP service. So now it's working back. We will go to the IP version 4 and then scope option, and the scope, not server options, the scope. And then the secondary, to the DNS servers, we will add the secondary DNS server, which are second domain controller. It's 192.168.2.9. He will just see if this DNS is working and verify it, and then okay, add, and then we add the WINS server also. Okay, it's also the same, the secondary domain controller, because it contains both DNS, secondary DNS and secondary WINS. Okay, so now we are ready to go. Here we have the two DNS and the two WINS. This is also the backup. So now we will create our workstation, the first workstation, to join the domain. So first of all, we need to take the name, or see what we will name this virtual machine. We will take it from the scripts, the CSV or Excel sheets we have done before when creating the users and the computers. We will take one of them. To know that, just return to my previous lab or the first video in my lab. These are the Excel sheets that I use in conjunction with the PowerShell scripts to create the users' computers and all of the Active Directory objects. So here I will open the computers Excel sheet. I will take one of them as my first computer or first workstation to join the domain. Okay, we'll take this one, HP 8100. Okay, PC bot 1. This will be our first workstation. We'll see create new virtual machine. Tell him typical, and then next. Tell him install the operating system later. Here we will choose Windows 10 64-bit system. And then next, and then we will name the machine from the Excel sheet. We have the name we took from the Excel sheet. Okay, and then next. We will give it a 100. Okay, the standard or the best practice to give the operating system for Windows 10 to be 100 gigs. Okay, we will make two partitions, one for the C for the operating system will be 100 gigs, and the remaining 50 will be for the data volume. We'll limit as D. Okay, and I have to give it only one processor because I don't have much processors. I have only 2 physical with 4 logic, so I give him already one processor, and the RAM will be 2 gigs. And then we will change the network to connect to our internal network or the domain domain network, which is 192.168.2.0. Okay, this is the network, and then we will mount the Windows 10 LTSC 2019 CD. Okay, this is a system I prefer for all of you to work in an production environment. This actually contains the main features of Windows 10, but stripped of it, the Cortana and the Windows Store and the Edge and a lot of the things that makes the Windows 10 heavily, or uses the RAMs heavily and the hardware heavily. And also it's more stable, and it doesn't update. Its update is released every 2 years. I mean, if you have, for example, an update to Windows 10, maybe 18.1809, 1909, it will not update. It's a stable, version. Okay, you only take the security updates. Okay, the feature updates, as they say, it will only update the security updates. As for the feature updates, it will be delayed for 2 years, or it will be released every 2 years. Okay, so because the feature sometimes the features, the Windows features update makes a lot of changes and a lot of incompatibility or some problems with some programs. So for this Windows to be more stable, they have already uh, make the security updates available, but as for the feature update, it is not there. It have to be installed manually, and it will be included in the Windows itself every 2 years. They will have, for example, Windows 10 LTSC, for example, 2019. After 2 years, we will make another version which contains the features Windows 10 feature, new feature version or feature updates. Okay, so I prefer this for the production environment. As I said before, it contains the main features of the Windows 10, but stripped of it all of the online features, if we can say that. The Windows Store, the Cortana, the Solitaire, and all of the games and products that is not necessarily needed in a production environment. As I said, it's more stable, and I have tried it before. It's more stable it's the more stable version that I've used until now. The most uh, stable version I used until now. So now we will tell him next. And then for more info, you can just go to the Google and search for Windows 10 LTSC version. Okay, and see compare between it and between the enterprise. Okay, this is the main version we can compare with for our production environment, the LTSC and the enterprise, Windows 10 enterprise. So tell him install now. Sorry, I am just having some problems with the RAM, because actually I am running 3 virtual machines. Each one of them is taking about 2 gigs, and I have only 8. So if you see some delay in the response of the virtual machine, this is normal, because I'm working with 6 gigs out of 8, so it's a huge consumption of RAM. So now we will install. As I said before, as a best practice is to give the Windows 10 operating system, or the C, if we can say, to give it 100 gigs. Okay, we will choose the LTSSC, the second one, and then we will click next. We will have 2 partitions. The first will be for the operating system, and it will be 100 gigs, and the second will be for the data of the user, which will name D, and it will be 50 gigs. Accept the license agreement, and then custom installation. As I said before, we'll make a new partition. The first will be 100 gigs. Apply, and then OK. And then we will take the rest of the unallocated space and we'll make another partition and apply, and then we will format it. We can format it when in Windows is installed, but I prefer to do it earlier. So we'll format the D partition, and then we will check or select the partition which is 100 gigs to install the Windows on it, and then next. It will take a little bit of time until copying the Windows file and installing the Windows. I'll just pause the video until all of this is finished. So now Here we'll choose the language, United States. I think I'll just pause the video until all of this finishes, because as I said before, I am using a little bit out of hardware requirement. I have only limited resources, 8 gigs only, 8 gigabyte of RAM and only 4 processors. So now we will ask for the keyboard layout. We will choose the United States. I will not add Egypt for Arabic or Arabic Egypt, because this will be done when the user logs in for the first time. There will be a login script that will add the Egyptian keyboard layout, and also will change the local time zone to be for Cairo. All of this will be done through the login script. So we only do the basic setting for the Windows. As I said, we will pause the video. I will skip this one. As I said, I will not add the second layout, keyboard layout. Again, we'll pause the video until this finishes. Then again, it's repeating the process, but it was a bug. I'll tell him yes. So now we will choose the network. Okay, it have already found the DHCP and took an IP address. As I said before, this is this glitch of hanging because of the RAMs. I am using about 80% of my RAM, so this is making it a little bit slow. Okay, so now we tell him no. We will just disable all of the online features, which, as I said before, it's mostly in this version it is stripped out of the Windows 10 LTSC, but there is still some online features. He will give him the name of the first user to be created on this PC. I'll call it master. This user had to has or must have a password. I forgot to put a password for it, but later I will do that. I will put the password later. Still, as I said, there is a glitch. I can't access my domain controller. So now we tell him no. We don't need to have the activity history. So now, as I said before, we'll disable all of the online features, because this is a production environment. We don't need all of this to be opened. And actually can close all of this by the group policy later, but because you are working in a production environment, we don't need all of this to be opened, so we'll disable it. And accept. So by the way, this is the Windows welcome animation. Okay, I prefer it to be closed. Okay, so not every time a user is, even if it's creating the first time, logging into the to domain controller, this welcome animation screen will appear. It can be closed through the group policy, and I have did it already. So not every time the user have to log into his PC with a new user or creating a new user for the first time, this animation screen will disappear. We will do this through the group policy. So now we are making some changes. I'm just putting this PC and I'm putting the desktop icons. Okay, I'm just putting my computer or this PC and the network. Okay, the control panel and users files and control panel. And as I said before, after creating any virtual machine on the VMware Workstation Pro, you need to install the VMware tools for compatibility and for uh, compatibility first for the drivers and then for the Windows drivers, and actually to have compatibility between the physical or with the host and the guest, so you can communicate, make shares between them. Actually, this is very important for compatibility between the guest and the host machine, or for a smooth performance or a smooth integration between the host and the guest. So now I prefer it for the control panel to make it as small icons, not the category one. Okay, and then we will go to the network. I'm just checking that I have to take an IP address, but actually I don't need to take an IP address. I have already. Okay, no, I didn't take an IP address. This is the internal one. I'm just disabling and enabling the network adapter. Okay, now we are installing the VMware tools, as I said before. One of the features of the VMware tools that you can, if you didn't install it, you will not be able to share, for example, a folder on your host to be accessed through the guest. For example, I need a folder on my laptop to appear to the virtual machine. This will not be done until you install the VMware tools. And as I said before, for example, now it's installing the display driver. We can see now that the display setting is not correct. After installing the VMware tools, which will include the display driver, the setting of the display will be real. The resolution will be adjusted automatically to reflect the correct display. We will see now that in a moment after installing the video driver. So now the display is corrected. We'll make a restart. But I think I will do something else before restart. Yes, I will enable the network adapter. And then we'll make a restart. eject the Windows ISO image or the Windows CD. And make a restart, right click and restart or shutdown. We'll make shutdown because I need to share a folder between my host and my guest. This is the folder that will contain my sources of applications. For example, for the Firefox and the Chrome, we will install the Firefox, the Chrome, the 7-zip, the classic shell, all of this. It's on a folder on my desktop, so I need to share it with my virtual machine. So we will go to the setting of the virtual machine and go to options, and then we will go to the share folders until it always enable and map as a network drive. It will be mapped as a network drive on my guest OS or operating system. So we now go to the folder that I need to share. It's the not the transformers, not the script one. It's the Active Directory. It's some tools that I had already put. Active Directory tools. Next and finish. Okay. So now when we power on the virtual machine, this folder will appear on my guest or virtual machine. It will appear now. We will see that in a moment. So now we'll begin installing the applications. First of all, we need to see the share folder that we did. It's called AD Tools Collection, just to take a note. I'm just doing, as I said before, the user didn't have a password, so I will just set a password on the master user, the one that I forget to do when installing the Windows. I'll go to the local group, users and group, and then users, then set a password for the master user. As we said, it's a best practice to make a complex password more than 8 characters, contains alphabetic letters, capital and small, special characters, numbers. And then properties. So now the first thing to do is I will just enable the system restore point. This to make the system takes like a small image every time now and then. I will turn on the system protection, and I will take about 10% of the hard disk to be for system restore points. As I said before, this is like an image, but a small one that takes an image of all of the operating system. And now we will enable the remote connections. Also, this to be enabled to connect to this machine through the remote desktop. Okay, so I have enabled the the system restore, and we enabled the remote desktop or remote connection. Enable remote connection to this workstation. This is the first 2 tweaks that we have done in this in this workstation, and now we'll begin installation of the installation of the applications. Here we can deploy first the classic shell. This is a software that changes the startup menu of the Windows 10 to be more like the Windows 7. Okay. And also this can be controlled through the group policy, and I have already added the ADMX files or the Active Directory group policy files of this software to the central location, central group policy location, so we can manage this software, this classic shell, through the group policy. Actually, I have also the Firefox group policy added and the Chrome, so we can control the Firefox and the Chrome and the classic shell through the group policy, including also the Windows setting, of course. And then you have installed the classic shell, we installed the Firefox. Okay, installing the Firefox. Then after that we will install the Google Chrome, and then the VLC player. This is mainly a media player, it's a free one, and also an important software to be installed is the 7-zip. It's something for extracting the zipped files or the compressed files, something like WinRAR, but 7-zip is also free. So VLC is free, and the 7-zip is also free, and classic shell is also free. This is all of them are free softwares. So now we install the VLC video. I think it's video LAN. I think I don't remember the abbreviation. It's VLC. It's video LAN compatible, I think. So now we install the 7-zip. This is the utility for extracting compressed files. I think now we need to install the Hadoop reader. Install the Hadoop reader DC. So now basically we have installed installed most of the needed applications or the basic applications to be used for any user. We also will install the Office. Okay, so we will have basically what any user needs in a PC, in a working environment or in a production environment. So now I will mount the we'll put the ISO image for the Office 2016. Okay, we will go and mount the ISO image. I think for the Office 2016 we will install the 46-bit, because this is the Windows is also 46-bit. Okay, this is the Hadoop reader. We'll make it as a default one. We're doing all of this to make a master image, okay, because we will clone it or make it as a default image or a master image, so we can not every time, so we don't need every time to make another workstation. We don't have to do all of these steps. We will have a master image, just we will use it for the VM Workstation Pro to use it as a standard image. Okay, so we don't have to create a virtual machine and install the software every time we need to install or prepare a workstation to join the domain. We see that in the next video. We'll see that in as in life. You will see what I mean when I do it. Okay. Okay, so now installing the Office. It's Office 2016. We will customize and we install all of the Office package. Install, and we'll pause the video until this finishes because it will take a little bit of time. So now we have installed the Office and all of the necessary applications. We installed the Google Chrome. Okay, I forgot the Google Chrome. We'll just extract the compressed files. Installers, and we install the Google Chrome. Okay, I'm just trying the classic shell. So now we'll make some tweaks here. We will pin some icons to the taskbar. Okay, so just to ease for the user for using the applications, and we will pin some also programs to the start menu of the classic shell. You will see now, for example, here is the access. We will now pin it to the taskbar. Okay, and we'll do this for all of the Windows, all of the Office application. We will pin it to the taskbar. So okay, pin, and we'll pin the Word file, the Word program, and then we'll pin it also to the classic shell. We will see this because when the user opened the startup menu, he will see this programs all pinned to the start menu. We'll see that in a moment. Okay, I tell him also for the video LAN, if you click on back, let's first pin it to the taskbar. Okay, all of this is pinned to the taskbar and the start menu. For example, if we and also we'll pin the snipping tool to the taskbar. And pin it to the start menu. Internet Explorer, pin it to the taskbar also. And then all of this to ease the process for the user. And after that, this profile or the whole profile of this user for the master user will be the default profile for all users. So every user, when log into the first time, as we see here, all of these icons are pinned to the start menu. As I said before, this profile, the master profile here, will be the default profile for any user. So if any user log into this machine, he will see all of this setting, all of these shortcuts, all of these taskbar icons, all of this will be appearing for him. We will see that when we go to the default prof utility that will clone this master profile to be the default profile for any user. So now we have already opened, just trying to the Hadoop reader. We just need to accept the license agreement. So not every time the user try to open the Hadoop application will not need to accept the license every time. So now we have already accepted the license agreement. So now we have done the tweaks for the profile. Here we will begin by default the downloads folder, the documents folder, and the pictures folder, and also the music folder are in the C drive. So this is not a best practice. We will just make a folder on the D partition, which is the data volume, and we call it my documents, and we will move all of the default Windows folders like downloads, documents, pictures, and music to this folder. So if, for example, anything happens to the system, this default folders which contain the user's data from pictures, documents, for example, the Office default save location, it will be in the documents folder. So if something happened to the system and you deleted the CDs, all of these default folders will be deleted. So we are just moving them to the newly created folder. We'll just right click on, for example, downloads, and go to the location and change it from C users master to, for example, D my documents downloads, and tell him to move it. And here says it is not created or it's not there. Yes, and okay, we'll do this for all of the 5 Windows default folders for the downloads, the documents, pictures, and music. We'll go to the location of the documents, and then we'll change it to, this is the best practice, just to make the user's data safe. Okay, if anything happens to the operating system, so these folders will not be deleted, because as I said before, this is the default location for most of the applications used by Windows. So we'll just move it to a safe location or to a data volume location. Okay, so we can take backup from it. After that, we can make it as a safe place, because for any reason the operating system on the C can maybe corrupted or something, so we can change or reinstall the system or even format the C partition, but the D or the data volume will still not be formatted or intact. So this is a safe place to move all of these folders. Okay, so now we are just changing the locations of all of them. And after making all of the tweaks, as I said, for this profile we will use a utility to make this profile the default profile for any user that will log into this PC. We will see that also when it counts. So we have already moved all of the folders. Okay, when open my documents, sorry, this was a mistake because I have mistyped something. Okay, I'll just delete it. Before delete it, I will move my pictures to my documents. Then him yes, and then him yes. Okay, and then if you open my documents, you will see all of the folders moved there. Can delete this folder. Okay. Here is my documents. It contains all of the folders: documents, downloads, pictures, videos, music. So now we see all of the default users file of default user files, default user profile files is copied, or sorry, it's moved to the D or data volume. So I think we will do some other tweaks. Now we will change the virtual memory. Okay, it's the best practice to make, if for example if your memory is 2 gigs, to make the virtual memory double it to be 4. Here I make it for 7 to 8 gigs, 7 gig to 8 gigs. If it's 2, then the suitable size is to be 4. Okay, but I make it 7 and 8, and then we'll make a restart. The virtual memory, it's as you all know, it's part taken from the hard disk to act as a RAM. Okay, but this is not like the physical RAM. It's slower, but if the physical RAM is consumed, so it will begin using a part of the hard disk as a RAM, but it will not be as fast as the physical RAM. This is briefly what means by virtual memory. Even its name, it's very simple to catch what does it mean. It's a virtual, it's not a real memory. So now we're logging back. So now actually I'm trying to install NetFrame 3.5. I didn't recognize that it is installed by default for this Windows. Okay, but NetFrame 3.5 is needed by most programs, so as a the best practice is to install it with the, or to be with the master image. If you are taking image of a PC, NetFrame 3.5 it's heavily needed by most programs. Yes, I'm just opening program and features. I will see that you will see it's already installed, so we don't need to put the Windows CD and install it. It's already there. See that Windows NetFrame 3.5 is there. Yes, it's there, and it is installed with NetFrame also 4.7, so you don't need to install it. So as a best practice when making images, Windows 10 images, to include the NetFrame 3.5 with it. actually most customized images for Windows 10 include NetFrame 3.5. So I don't know what I am doing now. I think, as I said before, this video is previously recorded, and I am doing this because I am commenting on the videos with two languages. So I'm just doing the recording first without audio and then begin commenting first time with English and the second time with Arabic. So I think, I don't know why I have stopped here. So I think we'll begin the, yes, the video is finished. Until the next video, we'll continue making some tweaks to the Windows, okay? Adding the Windows Photo Viewer, for example, and adding Windows Photo Viewer and adding the Windows 10 safe mode boot. Okay, until next video, stay tuned. Okay, goodbye.